Hey, I know it's late, but I was busy talking to my cousin Ilana if she's here. Hey. So if you're watching live, thank you. And if you're watching on replay, hashtag replay if you want. So yesterday, I drove my mom. First time I drove my mom. She was scared. She was like, make sure you're all wearing seatbelts. But she trusted me enough not to take Uber. I had to do some convincing, but she trusted me enough not to take Uber. And on the way back, so I said, my dad met us there in the restaurant. And on the way back, I said to my mom and dad, okay, bye, I'm going with the kids. I'm going to go home. My dad was like, no, you're not going home with my grandchildren. I'm going to take them in my car. I want to watch you drive. So I had to pass my father's test. And if any of you know my dad, just like or comment. It's not easy to pass his driving test. He tells me, you may have passed the test in the driving instruction school or whatever, but you didn't pass my test. So he drove behind me the whole way. I tried to make light of it. I turned on the music. I was like really just enjoying myself. Even at one point he rolled up next to me and he had like this stone face, serious face. And he wasn't like enjoying my Indian dance moves from the neck up. He wasn't feeling it. C100, none of that. Even the window movement for fun. I mean, my kids in the back in his car were enjoying it, but even my mom watching in the passenger seat, but my dad, no. He was like game face. So we drove all the way home. I took the local route not to give my father a heart attack. So we came home. There's a point to the story. We came home. He comes inside the house. He's like, terrible. You failed. I'm like, what? I came home in one piece. The car's not injured. I'm not injured. In my head, this is a win. He's like, you suck at driving. I was like, Pa, come on. Like, can you give me some support? He said, no, you're terrible. You turn on your blinker three blocks before you need to go, or you don't turn on your blinker at all. All the cars are scared of you, and everybody's moving away. There's usually no cars in your perimeter because you're driving very, very slow. And I'm like, Dad, I'm a beginner driver. Like, you have to understand. He's like, you're asur. He says, asur, for those of you who don't know, means like, this is illegal, he says, for you to drive with my grandchildren. I said, Pa, I have to take the kids to the doctor. Excuse me, you can't tell me not to do stuff. I'm an adult, right? I'm a driving adult with a paper driver's license because someone stole my driver's license last week. I still didn't get it back. By the way, they still charge me for the Metro PCS $300 thing on my Capital One card that guy basically took when he went to the liquor store and then followed up with all the other expenses. But we're going to take care of that. Anyway, so back to the story. He goes and tells me more about, this is terrible what you're doing. And you know what's interesting? This is the point of what I wanted to say. When someone tries to point out something in you and you take it from a place of growth, like, okay, I hear you, I want to grow, I want to learn, you have developed the skill of really using each experience to grow you, really using each experience, whatever it may feel like, to learn from it. And if you learn from that experience, I shouldn't drive, you're right, I really need to stop driving. In my case, I could have said that too. It's my dad, after all. He knows, he's a veteran driver, and it's true, I don't drive perfectly. I could have internalized what he told me and made it my imprint on what I believe to be true for myself. People in life will tell you, you can't, not good enough. Take what they say to teach you to become better, not to hold you back and stifle you in the same place you were yesterday. Because he may be coming from a good place, but if I'm receiving it in a place of fear, that's my fear talking, right? Whatever anyone else around us says to us only has power if we give it to them. Only has power if we allow it to feel like we can't own our own space, our own place in this world. I was so empowered by this. I even told my dad he should have some sugar and go to the bathroom, because that's what usually happens to people who are very scared. Which I said, Pa, your anger, it's coming from a place of fear. I understand you're scared for your grandchildren and your child. Almost, you're like okay with me driving, but not for the grandchildren. I'm a little bit concerned about why you're okay with me driving. If you're worried about my driving skills, like, shouldn't you be worried about my life? But anyway, side point. He cares about the grandchildren more, he said. But yeah, I told him he could go to the bathroom, pee a little bit. That's what the Bukharian concept is. You need to have some sugar and use the bathroom quickly. And I also was telling him, he didn't like that I was making so many jokes. But in any case, he told me he's going to come and teach me how to drive. I said, I'm welcoming it. You want to come? I mean, are you okay with that? I don't want, make sure you take your aspirin and your cholesterol medications, because I don't want you to have a heart attack. And anyway, the other day, my mom says someone was knocking on her door, 2 a.m. in the morning. And she was trying to wake up my dad. And she said, someone's at the door. Someone's knocking at the door really loud. And you got to answer the door, because she didn't want to answer the door. It was 2 a.m. in the morning. He didn't want to answer the door either. And finally, against him, not wanting to, he was like in his deep sleep. He got up and he walked over and he opened the door. He didn't want to because he was really tired. There is his neighbor, and his neighbor says to him, dude, your car is, the ignition is on. You didn't turn off your car. I don't know if it was the ignition. I don't know. Something. He didn't do something with his car. It was still running. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't realize. And he ran and he right away fixed the car. And I was laughing with my mom when she told me this, because the next day my dad tells the neighbor, thank you so much for, keeping an eye out on me, because the guy was walking his dog, the neighbor, and he saw my father's car. He knows my father's car. He came up and said to my dad, listen, your car is going to break by the morning if it runs all night. And then I was thinking, interesting. In life, sometimes we get these hard knocks, and they come in the form of a doctor telling us, you got to get your stuff together, knock, wake up. Your heart is in pain. You having chest pain, like my dad when he had a heart attack back in 2 years ago, whenever. It was very scary. It was like a really loud knock to wake you up. It's not something you want to hear, but you need to hear it, because if you don't pay attention to that knock, what's going to happen in the morning? The car is going to be gone. It's the same thing with whatever's trying to wake you up. If you don't wake up from it in the morning, the next day, the next week, the next month, we don't know when, you're going to be paying the price with that. A much higher price than when you just had to wake up and go and do that action, whatever that action is. Eat healthier, do better for yourself, pay attention to your own physical needs or your mental needs, get help for yourself. It's the same thing in the relationship. If there's a knock, it's an uncomfortable feeling. You find out something about your husband that you were like, what? I thought you told me everything. And he doesn't tell you everything. And then you found this really loud, obnoxious knock on your door, and it's opening the doors to this, what appears to be marital disharmony, right? You guys are not on a good wavelength anymore. But that knock is really identifying something now, as opposed to years or months later, when things could get much more intense and maybe at risk for breakdown, really significant breakdown. So my point was analogies with cars today, and I really just found it very interesting. I'm trying to keep this from moving. The people who are watching, thank you. I enjoy sharing with you, and I hope you got my message or found the meaning in what I was saying about, in life there will be situations that feel like they shouldn't happen, and they're very uncomfortable to experience, but it's our opportunity to really blossom from it and to really figure out, well, this is supposed to help me and not hurt me. Thank you. So I appreciate that. And I drove today too, people. Yes. High five with my baby. I didn't tell my dad. So he doesn't know. I'm telling him tomorrow. Keep it simple. Keep it real. He said he's coming tomorrow to teach me how to drive. I'll be like, I already drove. But in any case, I did drive myself. I went out to eat with my friend. It was so awesome to feel independent. For years and years, somebody who is my age, 35, I don't know what age you are, but if you struggle with a fear, I want you to know something. It is liberating to be able to own that fear and just squish it like the little bug that it really is. It's just a little bug in your head walking around, owning the place, and you giving it that power. It's so powerful to be able to just drive yourself, to have a bagel with eggs with your friend. It's just, for everyone else, it's like nothing. But for me, when I put in those digits to get that little paper that says expired at 12:34, I just want to kiss it, because I'm like, I'm driving. That's why I need this. I don't need that pay stub from the bus stop, from the Q44. Thank you, God. Every time I say thank you, God. And I think that's why when you're going through a challenge, it's to teach you how to say thank you, God. After you're done with it, you're like, wow, thank you, God, that I was able to get through that and understand what it is to be able to be on the other side of that. Unless you're in it, you don't know how to be thankful and grateful once you're out of it, right? It's afterwards where you're like looking back and you're like, I would have probably had to walk here or take the bus. So grateful for that. So that's my car analogies. I hope you know your power and own it. People cannot touch you unless you give it to them, unless you allow them to take that from you. You know what I mean? All right. I hope that was helpful, or if it rang true with you, it rang true with me too. So have a good night. Take care. Bye.